from his laptop. Good man. That's exactly what parenting's about.
Late entry, but it definitely.
Yeah, it was a late one, but it was definitely one of our favourites.
Let's try and figure out where he is. What his lad's called, Jack, innit?
Yeah. Well, I would assume that they have the same surname.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's entered it under his own name.
Oh, whether he's done it with his
Jack Attacks is that team.
Yeah, it's got to be that.
Yeah, so Jack Attacks is in 21st, and Ludo's Woolly-Backs is in 28.
Oh, right, there you go.
So, yeah, a bit of manoeuvring around there after that, but that's good, yeah.
It's only week 1, Paul, don't worry about it. There's plenty of rugby to be played yet.
Is that because...
Because I Can't Help Falling in Love With You didn't get off to the greatest of starts. Yeah, it is.
Which one's your team?
My serious team is the Carney Falloon team, although between you, me and the Dogs Wooden Leg, both Falloons are no longer a part of that outfit.
Yeah.
Well, he's injured, isn't he? So,
yeah,
there's been some changes afoot.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's lots of changes with all the injuries that have been picked up to some quite significant players. I mean, Shenton, Roby, Brough, all players that you'll be looking... Maguire.
Yeah.
People will be looking to get these guys out of their dream teams.
That's it.
SLP recommends, Thomas.
SLP recommends.
To the table this week?
We've got a couple each, haven't we? So we'll go back and forth. How's that work for you?
Yeah, well, I've got...
Oh, you're going to go for... Okay.
I've got one that's a double striker, but I want to hear yours first.
Okay, first...
I need to know what's going on here.
Cool. Well, no, I'm going to say... I'll save the biggie for the end. First, SLP recommends, because it's going to be anything. There's a band I've discovered. So if you'll permit me to talk about music for a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and do it. The band are called Crosses, spelt as you would expect, Crosses, but they often represent themselves as like just 3 crucifixes. Now, people who've listened to the show before know that my musical tastes lean towards loud, angsty, guitar-y stuff, so it will come as no surprise to learn that this band Crosses is actually a side project from Chino Moreno, who's the lead singer of the band The Deftones, who's one of my all-time favourite bands, where Deftones is very heavy riffy and a bit more shouty, screamy, angsty stuff. Crosses is a bit more melodic, a bit more electronic. They've got 2 or 3 different albums out, and they're very, very well worth a listen if you want to have a band that's a combination of, I would say, Deftones and maybe something like Hertz or something like that, that kind of electronic sound as well. It's very, very interesting, very well written music and well worth a listen. So SLP recommends Crosses.
Fair dues. My double hitter, as it were, is about League Culture's February podcast features an interview at the start with Tony Collins, the author, rugby league writer, but writes on rugby in general. Is quite a good writer. I've read a lot of his books, but they're talking about his newest book, The Oval World, which I've just purchased as well, because I wasn't sure how much overlap there was with the other books he's done. Now, this book is the global history of rugby as its tagline, so it's a lot of rugby union stuff, so it'd be interesting more so for those people out there that like both codes. It talks about the games that were exported to America, Canada, Australia as well, that became slightly different versions, the Gaelic football as well, slightly different versions of the same of our sport, of rugby, the genesis of rugby from the starting point of, you know, rugby school and Tom Brown school days and that sort of thing, all the way through to now, where you've got all these different codes, versions of it. So it's set to be an interesting read. Certainly the little bits I've checked out so far are good. But listen to the League Culture podcast to get a feel of what's going to be going on there. So at League Culture on Facebook, facebook.com League Culture, leagueculture.com, whatever, on your SoundCloud or your Stitcher or whatever you use to get your podcasts. Find them on there. Give it a listen, then go buy Tony's book. Tony's written a lot of other books about rugby league. There's 1895 and all that, which is sort of a collection of essays about rugby league. There's Rugby's Great Split. I've read a few of his books along those lines. A history of sport in capitalist society. That's one of my favourites of his. Wow. Yeah.
Very good. Well, that looks like quite a lengthy tome that you've had in your hands there. Although the one underneath it looks substantially less
weighty,
bulky.
So when I bought The Overworld, I also bought another book, a rugby league book. It's Hop, The Real Me, as told by Neil Barker, the MEN journalist who struggles with paragraphs and only writes in sentences, with big spaces between them. But basically, it's it's about 160 pages. It looks like it's going to be a nice quick read. I'm sure it'll have lots of interesting stuff in it.
I can see you flicking through it from 3 feet away, and I can see a lot of pictures.
Look, I've bought it because I really want to read it, and I'm sure it's going to be an interesting book. And I know lots of our listeners probably will find it interesting as well. The thing that stood out from me, and I don't want to sound like I'm just taking the piss,
but let's take the piss.
But this is what I noticed when I was just flicking through the book earlier. So just before the book starts, there's a quote on the first page of the book after the contents, and it's a quote from Gareth saying, "My temper and hot-headedness has always let me down. Like most people, I have done a lot of things that I regret." Quote Gareth Hock.
Okay.
Now, skip forward 160 pages or so, and you're at the end of the book. And the very last line of the book reads like this. "And right now, the real Gareth Hock still has a pair of boots to lace up. Who knows what the next few years have in store? Let's just wait and see. One thing's for sure, I have no regrets."
He's not there, is he? He's a fucking nutbag.
I mean, it looks really interesting because it talks about his dad, who obviously isn't his real dad because he doesn't know his blood dad, but the man who brought him up as his dad, who I guess was a large part of his influence into getting into rugby league. It talks about his family. It talks about his time at Wigan, why he's moving away from Wigan. So I can't wait to read it, actually, to be perfectly honest, without taking the piss too much.
But that is worthy of note. That is quite funny.
But obviously,
that would be funny in anybody's, because that would suit anyone. That could suit anybody's art. But listen, this time last year I talked about reading Adrian Morley's autobiography, and it was a great read. But you could pluck that out. That could have just as easily been in that autobiography. It's just funny. It's not necessarily taking the piss out of Gazok. It's just funny that at the start he says he's got lots of regrets, and by the end he's like,
to be honest, I kind of think it's influenced heavily by the person who wrote it with him, who maybe didn't think about how things look properly.
The editor of that book has got a lot to answer.
But you never know, I might find out the journey why he went from regretting these things at the start to not regretting them at the end. So maybe that's
the arc of
maybe I'm giving it less credit than it deserves.
I suspect you are.
The writer there.
I reckon you're probably about right, mate.
But I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure I'll have it read by the time I've edited the show.
Yeah, there you go. That'll give you something to do instead of watching the Super League show, won't it? Okay, final SLP recommends. Now I feel like I've backed myself into a corner on this one. This week, SLP recommends ballroom dancing. There you go.
Are we just assuming it requires no explanation and waiting for all the tweets?
Well, okay. The reason, to be honest, it's Super League Pod recommends going ballroom dancing if it's got anything to do with the girl you're seeing.
Does she listen to this yet?
Oh, yeah, she's an avid listener.
Is this not going to get you in trouble?
No, I reckon if anything it'll probably do me the world of good.
Right, okay.
Yeah, no, went ballroom dancing. This is basically...
Because I'm definitely in trouble for telling everyone about Emma being pissed and robbing Cocoa Pops.
Yeah, you're right. We went to... Well, I mean, I kind of owed her this, really, because she was kind enough to come to watch the Leeds Bradford friendly with me a couple of weeks ago, so kind of had money in.
Is it like a cultural exchange then?
Well, not really. I mean, she's a big Union fan, is Jen, so she knows the sport, and she did enjoy watching the league. I think she just prefers Union. And of course nobody's perfect except for me, so I kind of said, look, let's go. I'll go ballroom dancing, we'll give it a go, no problem at all. I'm pretty light on my feet, and actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was pretty fucking horrendous, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And the fella that was like the instructor made everyone feel quite at ease and what have you. And I'm not saying I'm the next Fred Astaire, but I took to it relatively quickly.
But your young lady friend, is she like more accustomed to it? Is she?
Oh no, not at all. She's literally 2 lessons in front of me.
Oh right, okay.
So it's not like she's been brought up on tea dances, right? Like, I mean, she's got aspirations and what have you, but no, not at all. But yeah, and of course, like any true gentleman who goes ballroom dancing with his missus, you reap what you sow. So I could wholeheartedly recommend going ballroom dancing if you get it suggested to you, gents. Super League Pod recommends ballroom dancing.
There you go.
Okay, so what have we got coming up on next week's show, Mark?
Well, more of the same. Now we're back in the proper mix of things, but what we want is as many reviews of games as possible from people. We would I'd point out that I put the championship games up on the Google form as well, so don't feel shy about those. I would also say Thursday and Friday nights games are the only games on the Friday night in particular. It's the only game on Friday night. So if you're at a loose end,
get yourself that
go down to Sheffield or to Huddersfield. I mean, the only Super League game, to be honest, but I forgot about the Friday night Sheffield game. But there's going to be plenty of spare seats at both grounds.
Huddersfield, full house. You won't get in. Get yourself to Sheffield.
So,
support a team like them.
If you're at a loose end, I'd say to people, go and watch as neutrals, because that's what got this podcast started for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't it? Going to watch games as neutrals.
Yeah, and I think I think the game between Huddersfield and Wigan will be a good one. But I think if you're going to be in the Sheffield area on Friday night and you find yourself with a spare few quid in your pocket, you'd be hard pressed to find better ways of investing it than going to watch Sheffield play Halifax.
Go to the
get yourself to Sheffield Taps, is it? Sheffield
go to the Sheffield Tap, at the train station and get some Thornbridge beers.
That's it.
The other thing we'll be doing next week, obviously, is looking forward to the World Club Series.
Yes.
Thomas, we want everyone's predictions on that.
We're going to talk about the listener meetup.
Yeah, because we made a bit of a boo-boo on the Leeds one. We sort of thought the kick-off was 8 o'clock, but it's actually 7 o'clock.
Yeah, so we're going to be in the Oak, is it?
The original Oak. On Otley Road.
On the Sunday from between 4:30 till 6.
That's the plan.
If you want to come and have a beer with us.
Yeah, I mean, let us know if you are around and pop by to say hello. You don't have to. You're not expecting anyone to buy us a beer. Certainly, because I'm driving for a start.
Yeah.
We will do.
We'll buy our own beers.
Yeah. we want to just meet people. There's a lot of people who've mentioned about it, but then seem
Cole,
to be
Mark, Steve-O,
maybe
John
not
Padgett,
as
Leeds fans
keen as when we've actually put something in place.
Yeah.
What we want to see these people who express the interest and drove us to the position of organising. Well, not organising,
just picking a pub at a time.
Planning
is probably the best way to put it. Organising it is a bit. Although I have to give you credit for your Photoshop skills. You're getting better and better.
That wasn't even Photoshop. My Photoshop trials ran out.
Oh right, what was that?
The missus refuses to buy the full package for some reason, even though she needs it for
work,
university stuff to come.
Right.
But I did it on Publisher and stuff, knocked it together. Pretty good effort though, weren't it?
It looks exceptional, I was very, very impressed with it.
I'm impressed too with my work.
You've always been a bit impressed with yourself, haven't you?
No, well, this is something that I've completely developed in the last...
in all seriousness, hats off to you. It looks very, very good. Okay, episode 84 is in the bag.
87, Tom.
87. We're going to have to start talking pretty soon about what we're going to be doing for the 100th episode. But before that, have a wonderful time at this weekend's games if you're going, and don't forget to get in touch with your views and your thoughts on your podcast, the Super League Pod.